I have to do a lot of breathing exercises for just, my job, for being a vocalist, right? So for me, whenever I'm, extremely panicked or extremely stressed, I always turn inward to my breath. So I lean on that, and the Italian in me, from my dad's side, would also say a glass of wine, just one glass though, nothing more than that. That's the beautiful cure of the century. My mood today, I'm doing all right. Through the past few weeks and the past few months of dealing with being in quarantine and, sort of being back home here in Oklahoma, I've definitely had my good days and my bad days. And I feel like that's probably a mutually shared thing across the world right now. But today, the sun is shining, and I'm working on some music today, so I'm doing all right. The last thing that made me happy, well, I've been working on finishing up my new album right now. A large part of kind of my happiness and my joy and kind of the thing that's been keeping me going right now through these times. I was supposed to be on the road right now. I was supposed to be in Europe on a tour. Obviously that got postponed, and it was a very difficult thing because that's my place at home. That's where I feel the most calm and the most at ease. So I've really sort of been churning back to the music to make me happy during this off time. I would say it feels very honest, and I would say very vulnerable too. My last album was kind of, I call it my debut, even though it was definitely my second or third body of work after being in music for 10 years. But what I wanted to do on that first body of work and on Portraits was I sort of wanted to tell my story honestly for the first time and to write songs that were authentic to me. And this new album doesn't really feel that different from that. It feels very much so what I've been going through in my 22nd year of life. All of the good things, all of the bad things. So I would say it's very honest, and I would say it's a bit of a roller coaster. You go through high upbeat moments, and then I'm definitely bringing some ballads and some slower things, so it has a lot of versatility as well. For the longest time, and when I was younger, I really struggled with sort of wearing my heart on my sleeve. I was in the closet for a long time when I was in my adolescence, going through music and being an online presence. And I felt sort of this pressure to always make sure I was coming across polished and that I was coming across clean cut and all these different things. And what it took for me to be able to reach this point now where I feel comfortable with being vulnerable and comfortable with being honest was I actually put music down for a few years, and I went to college. I went to university. I had no intentions of coming back to music at all. And I found that through that time, I developed sort of a new sense of self-confidence. And now I don't know it any other way. I feel as if the best music and the best representation of art has to be honest for it to survive. And I feel like my fans deserve that from me. So I try to give that to them, and I don't really struggle with that anymore. I think the most important thing right now is truly, in the most non-selfish way, putting yourself first. There's a lot of, as we're figuring out sort of how to get through this and how to get through self-isolation and quarantining, there's a lot of sort of societal pressure, right, to always be around, to always be working, to try to be as productive as you can at home. And what I've been encouraging my fans to do is really, of course, to try to be productive, to try to be healthy as much as you can, but this is the time to prioritize yourself. If that means shutting off your social media and disconnecting, if that means, talking to your boss or your employer and saying, listen, I'm having a hard time doing X, Y, and Z, this is the time to do that now. And also to just ignore that societal pressure. We don't always have to be perfect. We don't have to be live streaming every second of our lives right now. If people need to take a step back, I encourage them to do that. And I've been doing that myself lately too. I think the last thing that really made me tear up was postponing our current tour that I was supposed to be on right now. I'd been planning it for so long, and I was so excited to get back to these fans and, to know that I was about to bring this message out that, was going to make a lot of people sad and a lot of people disappointed. It's a really hard place to be as an artist. And it was difficult too, because obviously it was the right decision, but there's that part of you that just so badly wants to be there for those people and to play for them. So that week was really tough and very difficult. One of my dearest friends, and someone who works a lot on our project creatively, he always tells me before I go on stage, he says, let them in. That's your job as a performer, is to let the audience in, to see your perspective, to hear your voice, to see your world. And whenever I'm feeling incredibly down on myself, you know, those nights that I don't want to get on stage, I always say that to myself, that my job is to let them in, that it's not always about me, that it's a grander picture and a grander thing going on. One of the things I'm working on this year actually is to feel more proud of myself. That's definitely one of my weaknesses. I have a tendency of not being able to sit in a moment and sort of pat myself on the back. I'm always thinking ahead, right? You know, in terms of, you know, my life and my job and my career, if we've sold X amount of tickets, I'm always like, well, we could have sold more, right? And some nights my manager goes, no, literally you couldn't sell anymore, that was it. But I always want to do better. And I'm working on that this year. I'm working to be more proud of myself and working on, you know, trying to recognize my accomplishments. But whenever I'm on stage and whenever I'm in that venue and at the place where I truly feel like I belong, that's probably where I feel the most proud.